Hello, everybody. Welcome into Talking Fitchburg on this Tuesday, September 29th, 2020. Glad to be with you here today. Another gloomy day as we are in the midst of fall. And fall-like temperatures, even below fall-like temperatures to start off here as we retreated to some nice weather last week. Whew, it's just cold. I may or may not have had to turn the heat on in the Crosby household, but that's besides the point. It's just generally cold out, and it's only going to get colder with a chance of even below or right at freezing on Friday night. So make sure you check in on those plants and keep checking back to the weather forecast, as it's going to be nasty for a little bit, and a little chances of rain here and there too, just to top it off. That's the cherry on top right there of weather. Well, I've got a busy show for you though coming up. We'll be talking today about a few fun topics, I should say. We've got the big bike opening we'll talk about here. Bike Bridge will be opening tomorrow. We'll give you the info on that coming up in the headlines. Fact TV update for you as well. I'll tell you what's coming up here in the month of October. And we're taking a special look at metabolic testing. Yeah, put myself to the test with Andrea. She'll break it all down for us. And I'll even learn a few good things about, my eating. And we'll break it down for you, y'all, and stay tuned for that. But first, we do get to the bridge opening. Bike Bridge will be opening tomorrow with a small ceremony. This will be happening right around 1 o'clock tomorrow. That'll be on the 30th. And there'll be lots of special guests joining us. This bridge going right over the McKee Road area there, making things a lot safer. And we're very excited to share this story with you. And again, special guests will be out there in hand. We'll be broadcasting this live, so we'll give you the details on that tomorrow. All right, polling location change for District Number 1. We've got the info for you right here. Yeah, polling location has changed. If you are a resident of District 1, Wards 1 through 4, the note your polling location has been moved. The new polling location is now at Little John's Restaurant. That's located at 5302 Verona Road in Fitchburg. And you'll access this actually off of Anton Drive. So even though the address is Verona Road, you're like, well, how am I supposed to? No. You're going to be taking Anton Drive to get in there to this right near Carriage Street. So you can't miss it. And we'll keep reminding you for that November 3rd election that is coming up, but that change coming out today. Speaking of the ballot, are you ready to return your absentee ballot? We talked about this morning. I want to make sure we get all this info out to you. Already way over 8,000 absentee ballots have been mailed. And that's all for the November 3rd general election. Ballots will continue to be mailed as residents request them. Residents do have many options for returning your completing ballots. That include mailing them directly to the city of Fitchburg, dropping them off at the drop box, which is in the foyer of City Hall, 5520 Lacey Road. That foyer and drop box is available and under surveillance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Delivery of your ballot to your polling location on election day. And you can drop it off at one of our absentee ballot collection dates. We have two of them. First one's coming up Saturday, October 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Hugel Jamestown Shelter. Following that, we'll be at McKee Farms Park Shelter on Saturday, October 24th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as well. Clerk staff will be available on accepting delivery of absentee ballots and will be a witness as well. So if you need a witness for voting absentee, they can help you out with that as well. And of course, they'll be practicing social distancing, sanitation, and of course, we want you to wear a mask when you come out to that event. And again, that event goes till 1 p.m. on each one of those days. So if you got any questions, by any means, you can contact the clerk's office and they'd be happy to help you out. All right, if you rely on natural gas for heat, get your home ready for the winter months ahead. You know how you can do that? CO monitor. Yeah, that's right. Make sure you have that carbon monoxide detector on each of your floors in your home and report leaks to 911 if you do smell any type of gas. Better off calling 911 immediately and getting outside avoid trying to mess with any electronics. Andrew, we were just talking about this, Andrew, this morning, off air, about how important it is to call 911 because you just never know what that spark point is. And I saw in the news in Dubuque, there was a gas leak that turned into a house explosion. So, and fire officials were on scene, sort of similar to Sun Prairie. I mean, guess that was a little bit different, but same idea there, that there was a gas leak. And yeah, got to be careful with these things. So while we finish the rest of the month here in the Ready Preparedness Month, I thought I'd throw this in there so you have a good reminder. It's good as you may be kicking on the heat for the first time, so good thing to check all of that. All right, it is Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. Rural Road Safety Awareness Week is amazing. Did you know about 70% of the U.S. roads are rural? By only 19% of our population lives in rural areas. Yeah, Andrew knows about this. That means there are more than 9 times as many lane miles per resident in rural areas. Learn more about the rural and urban road safety differences. You can go to crashstats.nhtsa.dot.gov for more information. And very interesting stuff there. Andrew lives out in the middle of nowhere. I guess technically I live out in the middle of nowhere too, so got that going for me. All right, that does it for our headlines. Coming up next, we open up the digest, tell you what's happening in the month of October right here on Fact TV, and later we'll check in on with our dietitian at Hy-Vee, talk about metabolic testing. Andrea's in with that just in a little bit. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Behind every 2020 census taker's mask is a friendly neighbor. They're teachers, retirees, vets, people committed to doing right by getting the count right. If you haven't responded yet, they'll be stopping by to ask some simple questions that will inform how billions in federal funds are spent on local services every year for the next decade. So when they come knocking, say hi from a safe distance and do your part to support your community. Time is running out. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. It's now time to talk about Fact TV and the digest today. We give you your Fact TV update monthly here on TF, and we got to get right into a lot to get to. We start with the emergency broadcasting. Yep, we are still in emergency broadcast mode on Fact TV. All of our emergency broadcasting can be done through all 3 of our channels, but our emergency broadcast is running on the community channel, F2.com, Monday through, every day. Monday, it's not Monday through, it's every day. Going to the media channel is running our continuous bulletin board and is in also in that emergency broadcast, which we include on our comm channel as well. From time to time, we check in. So let's check in on a few things. Here's the familiar one. Yeah, we just learned about it in the headlines. The notice here on District Number 1, you're at a new polling location at Little John's Restaurant, 5302 Verona Road. Switching up here for the election coming up on November 3rd. Also, are you ready? It is the planning month of September, making sure, are you ready? Are you ready if you were to lose all of your important information? Do you have that backed up? Do you have it accessible at another location? Something to think about. This one too with your pets. Do you have a plan for your pets? Yeah, if they have any special needs or stuff, are you ready for it? You can learn about these at ready.gov. Final one too, again, on that digital backup, take pictures of stuff, and store it somewhere off-site. Give it to your parents, wherever they live. Maybe hopefully it's not next to you, but wherever they are, make sure you back that data up. Library's coming in with some new services. I picked this one, the grab bag. Submitted a grab bag or an online form to grab a kid's grab bag. The librarian will pick out items that are available on the shelf that might be interested. Put in the bag, and then you deliver. Yeah, pick them up and check it out. It's kind of a cool service, so I throw it in there. Also, it's National Suicide Prevention Month, and we've shared a lot of that information on Talking Fitchburg and also through our media channel as well. This one is giving you the warning signs of suicide. There's a lot of great resources out there on prevention. And given the time that we're in, it can be a stressful time, and better to talk about it and watch and help out one another during this time, so we don't go down this path of suicide. Also, the time of year for those leaves, especially now with the cold weather, those leaves are going to be, geez, keep on falling, and we want you to make sure you keep them out of the streets. Yeah, if you don't keep them out of the streets, then this can happen. Leaf-free streets in Fitchburg. This came out in the Green Fitchburg update. When it rains, water runs through the leaves in the street, forming a leaf tea rich and dissolves phosphorus. Well, that's not good. No, those end up getting into the municipal sewer systems and then right into our local waterways. Phosphorus reaches our lakes, rivers, streams. It can even lead it to toxic algae blooms. We're all too familiar with that. Not to worry, though. There are many ways you can help. Get the leaves out of the street, and removing them from the storm sewers can help reduce that substantially. And after you rake your leaves off the street, you have a few options. Greatest one is just to mow them right back in your yard. I compost them. They're amazing for compost, especially if you put them in your garden. It's a really cool thing there. Special election drop off. 2 opportunities. Talked about that in the headlines today, but you've got 2 opportunities coming up to drop off those ballots in the month on October. And don't forget, the Dane County Voter ID Coalition is out there for you, helping you get to the polls, get the stuff you need. If you need help with any of the election stuff, another great resource out there. Over on the comm channel for the month, here is a look at that, and nothing too much going on from the last month. I do want to point out the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration in the Oregon Elementary School tour at Forest Edge. Both 2 new shows that will be coming out this month. And of course, at our Gov channel, we're covering nonstop meetings for you. There is that list of meetings, and we want to make sure that you know where you can find us. And those meetings continue on just like regular, and we've got them for you here on the Gov channel. That does it for our update. Coming up next, we open up our guest segment talking about metabolic testing. That's next right here on Talking Fitchburg.
Hola, Julia. ¿Estás lista para tocar con nosotros? Yo tocaré mi clarinete.
Y Alma tocará su tambor.
Tambor ruidoso.
Bueno, ya sabes qué hacer, Julia.
Julia sabe.
Dado el autismo de Julia, los sonidos pueden ser muy fuertes.
Y hace música a su manera.
¡A tocar!
La detección temprana del autismo puede hacer una diferencia de por vida. Conoce más sobre la detección temprana en detecciondeautismo.org.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today is our registered dietitian, Andrea Miller. And she's here today to talk about Jeremy. Yes.
That's right.
I am putting myself out there for you all today as we go through the metabolic testing that we did? I mean, we're going to talk about your overall health is the goal here, but a different way to look at this. And I'm fascinated by all of this, and talk about metabolic. I see it's even tough for me to say it.
So we'll talk about metabolism or metabolic rate. So the big key takeaway for what our metabolism is a process that essentially takes the food that we eat, converts it into energy for our body to use. So a lot of times we kind of get stuck on, do I have a low metabolism? Do I have a high metabolism? More so on the rate. But I encourage people to think about that metabolism is our individual needs, our individual energy needs to help us function properly and move our body.
Well, that's easy enough, right?
That's simple, right?
So the first piece of this, so we definitely want to talk about how this all works together, and you're going to help us with that. But at Hy-Vee, you offer a test that you can take to help you kind of navigate all of this. And I had a chance to do it. And we're going to take a look at the test here first, and we'll then talk about the results here next.
So we're going to walk through getting you started with the metabolic machine. So this is a breathing machine, and what it's going to do, it's going to measure your volume of oxygen. And so what you want to do is I'm going to hook up this one-use tube here, and you're going to plug your nose with a clip just so that your air is forced into the tube. And then what the machine's going to do is it's going to gather a nice, consistent, steady breathing pattern. So the best that you can with your nose clipped and a tube in your mouth, you want to try to breathe in and out as best as possible, and as consistently as possible. So just kind of a normal breath. And then what it's going to do, it's going to gather the volume of oxygen, and then it converts it into a calorie number. And that calorie number is what the body needs to maintain current status. So current weight, body composition, etc. And so it'll take about 10 minutes, and you're going to sit in a relaxed position. So you're coming in as best at rest as possible. So anything that stimulates the metabolism, food, caffeine, alcohol, exercise, we do without that for at least 4 hours before the test. So we can test at rest as best as possible. About 10 minutes, you'll get a beep. It'll say remove hose, and then you'll be done. And then what we'll do is we'll print off the results.
All right, you saw me take the test. I got the results. They were devastating. No, they were just fine. And the test is super easy. I mean, it's just more or less staying calm is the hard part there, but it works out pretty good. We've got my information here, so bear with us. Why don't you break down what did we learn about Jeremy and my metabolic everything?
Yeah, so I will note that there are a few different ways you can measure your metabolism, some very complicated, some a little bit easier. So take into consideration, this is kind of, I would say, maybe a middle of the road where we use your volume of oxygen with the breathing test. So that gives us a pretty confident number there in terms of what your body needs energy-wise to sustain your current status when we look at that volume of oxygen. So certainly a calculation isn't going to take that into consideration. And so what we first obtain is we get resting energy expenditure. So this is important because this is the energy that your body needs just to exist. So your organ function, to help you think properly, to help with every process in your body. That's the amount of calories needed to keep you alive, basically, okay? And then what's gonna happen is with this case, the machine then takes your age, your gender, your height, and your weight with that resting energy expenditure, and it's able to estimate how many calories you likely need to sustain movement and activity during the day. So that's considered lifestyle movement or lifestyle and activity, okay? And then further, it takes a specific reference is 30 minutes for exercise, 30 minutes at moderate intensity. It takes that same information and then estimates how much energy do you need to sustain 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise. And with that, with those three numbers, we get a total energy output. So what that means is how much energy or how many calories does your body need right now to sustain your current status. So it's always good when you're looking at a change to start with what's going on currently, because then you know where to go, right? And that's the individualized part. And so we have a total energy output or a total calorie number. And so if somebody like yourself is looking at making some changes, so you're not necessarily looking at maintaining your current status, then we're able to adjust that energy intake or output, however you look at it, to achieve what you want to achieve. So that's where we have different zones, and we have maintenance zone and a weight loss zone. And so this is where we would then hone in on that weight loss zone. And what that's going to mean is going to mean a change for you from your total energy output now to achieving some weight loss.
Yeah, and we picked so you had me pick how much weight I wanted to lose, you know, and you kind of gave me some ranges to kind of help me. So that's set in here as part of this. So those numbers also calculated in here to get that. I think a big question that comes out of this is a lot of people think of this as mine just moves so fast, or I'm just real slow in this. And that's really not necessarily what you'd look at. You need to look at this big picture. Break that down for us.
Right. So what I really encourage people to do, rather than focusing on a rate, or a lot of times what I hear from people is, I cannot lose weight, I don't have any metabolism. Well, you do. It's more so, see if you can focus on how much energy do you need at your current status to sustain what you want to achieve. So again, for some people, they want to maintain where they're at. For some people, they want to gain. They want to gain weight or gain muscle. For some people, they want to lose total weight. And so it's important to look at identifying how much energy or how many calories does your body need at its current state. And I keep referencing calories when I say energy, because that's how we measure energy in food, is through calories. However, that doesn't mean you have to necessarily count your calories or be so obsessive over calories. For some of us, it just helps kind of wrap our mind around the idea of, are we talking 3,000 calories or 1,500? And just kind of getting a general sense of the amount. I don't necessarily recommend or feel like individuals have to count calories in order to make this work. But they can use that calorie number to kind of conceptualize what food energy means. Because it's kind of hard to break it down, right? It's kind of hard to kind of think about it. And sometimes when we look at a number, that helps us make a little bit more sense of it.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at mine, I mean, if I really wanted to lose the amount of weight that I've selected, I would have to drop down significantly. And it gives a short range and a long range on this as well, which I think is helpful. But you say mine comparative wise, I fell in kind of the below normal area, which is very surprising to me, because I thought, I figured I was slow, overall, just based on my own opinion of myself. But that kind of sets the stage here that it is acting normal. But if I adapt dietary changes, I can definitely make some improvements. And I don't know, it made it, this gives you the idea, in my opinion, it gave me the idea of, well, it's actually not as hard as it looks if I just start the able to cut back on some of those things, and looking at it that way versus just, well, I know I need to exercise, I know I need to eat better, but if I think of it at that total calorie, I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. How accurate are the general calories needed for men and women posted in articles? You see a lot of this too, and it kind of goes hand.
That's a great question, because that's one of the reasons why it is important to look at your current status, because with all the metabolic tests I've done and working with individuals, I can probably count on my hand, which isn't that many, of how many people, even their weight loss calorie level or calorie level to achieve weight loss, was well above a lot of the recommendations you see in magazines. So in general, you'll usually see 1,200 calories thrown out for women for weight loss, and 15, 16, maybe 1,800 thrown out for men, okay? Usually that's way too low compared to what people are currently doing, and that's the key right there. If you're going way beyond what your body is used to, it doesn't matter if what you're used to is good or bad. If you go too far from what it's used to, your body is going to rebel. That's when you get cravings and you don't feel good. And so you want to make enough of a change to make a difference, but not too much where you throw your body off. And then it starts protecting itself instead of working with you.
So I guess that would take us to the final question is, if you set a goal and you take the test and you get kind of that, how fast should you move to make, yes, this gives you a kind of a rundown, but I think it's something you said to me as we were talking about this is, dieting doesn't have to be fast, and you shouldn't make that sharp cut, because most likely you'll not be able to stick with it. And somebody for me who I can tell you, I'm not interested in working out necessarily, and it's hard to eat when I'm on the goal, or hard to get those good meals in. But if you're looking at a starting place for the average Joe like myself, I feel like what would be your recommendation after they do get the test and are trying to like, okay, well, I know the roadmap, but how do I go?
Right. So I'll mention a couple things. So first, if you look at it habit-wise, if you take one habit, get it implemented where you feel comfortable with it and it's starting to become normal, then it's a good time to take on another habit. So that's kind of a good way to think one habit at a time if you're measuring in that regard. If you're measuring in terms of weight loss, half a pound to a pound a week is a nice steady weight loss that will stay off. The general rule of thumb is the faster we take it off, the faster it'll bounce back on, versus if you take it off slower, then if it is going to come back, it's going to be slower. Hopefully it won't come back, but that's the case. The other thing to take into consideration is individuals can use this test. I use the core machine to do this metabolism test. But you can also take into consideration if you're at a certain weight calorie-wise, or if you're at a certain weight or gaining weight, you could look at your total intake and start to scale back a little bit, maybe by like 25% each meal or total in a day. Some people, that resonates with them. If they take a look at what they're currently doing, come back about 25% total intake, especially for the person that thinks, you know what, I eat pretty good. I eat all the food groups, I eat fruits and vegetables. Maybe I'm just eating too much. That person doesn't necessarily have to do a metabolism test. They could take a look at their total intake, scale back a little bit, whether it's by meal or total day, and likely start to see some results that way too.
Yeah, and I think you drove it home too, that this just proves how individually everybody's body is different, and
right.
I think taking this test gives you that roadmap of who you are, where you're at, and don't make the assumptions that whether you think it's fast or slow for how your body works, but what is going to work for you, and taking those baby steps. Thank you for breaking it down. I know it's a lot of information to get through. But Andrea, thank you so much for showing us through this. And if people are interested in taking this test or talking with you, how can they get a hold of you?
They can go ahead and email me, and you'll include my email. They can email me right at Hy-Vee, and I can get them set up.
Yeah, and as I showed you on the video, it's very easy to do, folks. And Andrea's full of knowledge on asking and taking those results and moving them forward. So thank you for breaking it down. Appreciate the time, and we'll check back with you real soon.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, Andrea Miller from Hy-Vee. I call her our registered dietitian, even though she works for Hy-Vee, but we certainly enjoy having her on the show here. And again, so what a great place to start if you're looking for trying to wrap your head around even trying to lose weight or eating better or something else. I think it's great piece there. All right, we'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Wrapping up the show for today, I want to thank Andrea for helping us out with the metabolic testing. Check her out at Hy-Vee in Fitchburg. And remember to stay connected with Fact TV all day long. We got you covered on just about everything, folks. Have a great day. See you back here tomorrow.